So when I have a party, sushi casserole is literally one of my favorite things to make. It feeds the masses, it's really, really pretty, and everyone seems to love it. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, but first we need rice. To make this dish, the most important thing you need is rice, but we have to cook it first and cool it. So we're gonna do that right from the get-go. I like to use short grain rice. It's hearty, it has the right amount of flavor, but we're not making sushi rice, so we don't necessarily need sushi rice. We're not adding any other seasonings to the rice. However, if you only have whatever rice in your pantry, you can go ahead and use it. I prefer short grain white rice. So we're gonna measure 2 cups of the rice and put it in the strainer here. Okay, it's really important to rinse rice, and I'll tell you why. You need to rinse rice because there's a lot of starch on it, especially on the outside. If it ends up sticking together or getting too clumpy or mushy, it just won't work. You still want it to be soft, but you also want it to be rice and separated, right? So we're gonna go ahead and rinse the rice now in the sink. I'd say rinse it over here until it runs clear, or if you just have a bowl, you can rinse it in that as well. So I'll rinse the rice like that. A strainer just makes it a lot more convenient and easy. So that's how we're gonna do it. And that looks good. Shake it out. I'll put it over this bowl here. We're gonna grab it. I also have my water that I'm gonna use to cook the rice because we need the water. So I'll bring this over. We're gonna go ahead and turn the stove on. I say we always start with the rice with boiling water, and then we're gonna reduce it down to a simmer, and it has to go down to a simmer. You can't have it hot the entire time, otherwise the rice won't cook properly. So we're gonna go ahead and put the rice into the pot here. And you know what? I'm gonna show you a little trick of mine, but I'm gonna turn the stove off first because I don't wanna burn myself. So we're going to grab this water. This is a trick that my grandmother taught me when I was a little girl. And because as a little girl, my job was to make the pot of rice. And I just kind of flatten out the rice here. Go ahead and add some water. Actually, let me measure the rice first. So you're gonna flatten it out. And with your finger, you just kind of measure how tall that rice comes up to. So once you get that line measured with your thumb, like that, we're gonna pour in the water and have it be an equal part. So I'll place the tip of my finger on top of the rice and then have this thumb end where the water is. That makes sense to you? Perfect. So it's equal parts. If you're gonna do 2 cups of rice, you do 2 cups of water. But that's the easy, quick way to do it. So now we're gonna go ahead and boil this rice. I'm gonna put the lid on for now. And then as soon as that starts to go, we're gonna go ahead and put it down to a simmer. Don't forget that part. If you just boil it the whole time, you're gonna have some crazy rice. We don't want that. Okay, and now I'm actually gonna get started with my coleslaw while that rice cooks. So let's go ahead and start with the dressing, because when you have a coleslaw, the most important thing to do is make the dressing first in the bowl. I like to do that because otherwise you're making it a mess. Like you have like 3 bowls going on. I like to keep things simple. 1 bowl, mix it all, you're good to go. So let's start with mayo. I use regular mayo, but I also use Japanese mayo. So if you have that in your fridge, go ahead and use it. It's a little sweeter, it has a tang to it, pretty yummy. There goes the lid. And let's put about a 1/4 cup here. It's a little much, but I like it creamy. We'll get the lid later, we're good. And then we're gonna do a tablespoon of rice vinegar. Now, rice vinegar is really important because it just has a different flavor. It's got more of like a weedy, softer flavor to it as opposed to just a white distilled vinegar. So I like to use the rice. I don't really use the seasoned rice vinegar because I think it adds too much flavor and I want to be able to control what I'm putting into my coleslaw. Next, we're gonna go ahead and put the sesame oil that I love. It's nutty, warm, delicious, and it adds like that Asian tang to it, like that vibe that you're looking for. So I just put a little tablespoon of that. A little goes a long way with this guy, but trust me, it's gonna make all the difference in the world. Okay, and then I also have a little ginger here that we're gonna add, just a little bit. So ginger can be really spicy, and I think that if you're gonna do ginger, you have to do it to your taste and your liking. So the great thing is you can taste the dressing afterwards and make sure it's up to your par. But ginger is so good. It has like a zing to it, and it really gives it that Asian vibe again that I'm looking for. So I never get rid of my scraps. I always save them and make them into tea later. Being pregnant, you're constantly woozy, and ginger is one of the ultimate natural cures for that. Or if you just want a nice cup of ginger tea before bed to settle your stomach, clean your palate, and just have a nice little rest at night, this is perfect. So I save all my scraps there. I'm gonna go ahead and grate just a little bit. Again, if you love ginger, add more. But for me, I'm good with just a little. And again, save everything. We'll go ahead and mix this together. I know, it doesn't look like much, but it tastes amazing. Again, that sesame oil is pretty potent, so it adds a lot of flavor. I can already smell it from right here. That's how good it is. Okay. So like I said, you need to try and taste everything. If you need to add a little more of something, do it. And now that I think that we're almost boiling there, I'm gonna go ahead and reduce it down just a little to a simmer. There we go. So let me try a little here. See, I'm glad I tried it because I need a little more rice vinegar. So add a little bit of that. Mix it up. Perfect. Now we're gonna go ahead and cut some of our vegetables. I have a head of green and red cabbage. I like to use both, really purely for color. I think it's really, really pretty. And then we'll add some carrots for that orange pop as well. Carrots are also pretty sweet, so I think it kind of brings the dish together. The great thing about this dressing is that you have the creaminess of the mayo, you have the rice vinegar, which kind of cuts through it all, and then you're gonna add this nutty, yummy flavor of the sesame oil, and then the ginger. You know what the ginger does, gives it that zest. So this is perfect. Now make sure that you always remove the core at the bottom here. A couple times I've cooked with it and it's really hard. Probably not a good idea. So I just like to cut it out here. Yep, make sure you get it all. If you need to cut a little more, you can. And then I like to just go lengthwise because I like long shreds, but you can cut cabbage any way you'd like. If you want to chop it up and that's easier for you to eat, do it that way. Every family is different. And I like my pieces not too thin. I like a little substance. Once you put the dressing on, it's going to really soak up inside of the vegetables, and so it softens and it doesn't seem as big and hard anymore. And then, you know, I actually think that looks like a lot to me. So we're gonna go ahead and add that in here. And then I'll do the purple. Look how pretty this color is. I seriously love the color purple. I don't know why, but it's one of my favorite colors I love to wear besides pink. And I just think it's so good. I'm gonna try to cut it from this angle now because I need to be able to see that core better. Okay, cut that out. And I think we'll just use about half of this. Looks like that'll be good. So I'll cut this. It already looks so pretty. I love it. Okay. And cabbage is, you know, hearty. It's not like lettuce. It's a little tougher, but I think it just adds a lot of texture to the dish, especially when you're just dealing with the soft sushi. See, I had some core in there, so I gotta remove it. And I'll add that in there as well. Well, it's looking like that's what we're gonna fit in there for now. And then I'll just do 1 carrot. So you wanna make sure that you go ahead and peel the carrot. I like to peel this way because so many times I've peeled that way and cut myself. So we're just gonna do whatever's safest for Lonnie. And this carrot actually adds a lot of sweetness to it. I like to put carrots in everything, like my sauces. Everything has a lot of yummy natural sugars. And we'll use a grater here. And just on that big side, you're gonna go ahead and make some nice pieces. And we'll just grate down. So you're really getting a good workout here, using the biceps, the triceps, your shoulders, earning that yummy food we're about to eat. Okay. And I'll throw that in here. And whenever I mix anything, forget this spatula thing. We're over that. Let's go ahead and grab some tongs. Here we go. These are awesome. They're hard. I could just grab anything with them. So we'll go ahead and mix that in with the dressing. And I'm making a mess, so next time I'll use a bigger bowl. But you want to toss it so you get all of that dressing on here. Okay. And now, just to add a little more, here we go. I'll put some edamame in. And I'm gonna go ahead and check on this rice, make sure we're doing all right here. Oh yeah. Don't actually check on it too much, because if you don't let that rice cook properly, it will never cook. I'm gonna go over to the fridge, grab my cilantro. You know, a little garnish makes everything beautiful. And if I'm gonna make this coleslaw really pretty, you gotta have a little cilantro, and the flavor is out of this world. It's like really, really good. So we're gonna do cilantro. And a lot of like Thai dishes, they use cilantro, and I think it just adds a lot of yumminess. So here we go. Okay. And we've got the coleslaw done. We're just gonna let that marinate. We got the rice almost cooked. And then when you get back, we're gonna go ahead and make that awesome sushi casserole. All right, so now that we have our tangy Hawaiian coleslaw finished, it looks gorgeous, we are gonna move on to our sushi casserole. This is what we've all been waiting for, right? Okay. So I'm gonna come over here to the rice that is now finished. It's been fluffed with a fork because we don't want it all clumping and sticking together. So after a few minutes, when it cools down, go ahead and fluff it. Again, we make this rice ahead of time because we don't want it to be steaming hot when we put everything together. It's gonna end up cooking the crab and everything else in it. You just want it at a good, nice room temperature, I'd say. So now we're gonna bring this rice over and just fill the bottom part of the pan. I'd say, you know, you can use all the rice, but use your judgment. Some people really, I'll spoon it out here. Some people really like a lot of rice, so they'll put extra. I like just a medium amount of rice, not too much. And then sometimes another trick is if the rice is sticking to your spatula or your little Japanese rice paddle, go ahead and put some water on it. It helps to separate the rice from the paddle. Okay. And again, we use the short grain white rice because I prefer it. It's a little heartier. And I'm not using any sushi seasoning for the rice, so it kind of works out. All right, you know what? Sometimes you just got to dump it in. Okay. So you just want to flatten that out because, again, we're making a casserole, so it's just going to be layered. Wonderful. And then the next layer that's going to go on top of the rice is our crab mixture. Now, I've done my own little version of this crab mixture here because I believe that you need to entertain for a party at a good cost, so you don't want to spend too much money. And I'm using imitation crab. Imitation crab still tastes delicious, it's a little more affordable, and the texture is great. It's in California rolls. We are doing a take on a California roll sushi for this casserole, so of course I'm going to use it. But because I love crab so much, I also have yummy lump crab. This is fresh. You can buy it in your store. It comes in either a container like this or a can, and it's usually refrigerated. And then you're going to go ahead and drain anything extra that's in there, but don't ever rinse this because then you're going to lose the flavor. I love this fresh crab because it actually makes it feel like I'm still eating real sushi. Since I've been pregnant and I don't eat too many raw fish anymore, I definitely try to use little tricks and hacks in order to make sure that I'm getting every flavor that I love. So we're gonna go ahead and put this crab in there, simple. Put the imitation crab. And the best part about this recipe is it's super simple. We're just gonna add mayo to this mixture and then place it on the rice. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my mayo right here. And you can use about a 1/4 cup. But again, if you like it a little more creamy, feel free to use more. Let me get a spoon here so I can really dig it out. Okay. Perfect. And then just mix everything together. Sometimes I'll chop up the imitation crab because sometimes they'll come in like these long logs that you buy at the store, and then you're gonna have to cut it up. But what's great too is that the imitation crab already becomes shredded when you start mixing it together. It's just the texture of it. They really make it seem like it's real crab. And it's not really an imitation seafood. It does have real fish in it, it's just not real crab. So you're gonna mix all of that together, and that's it. You want a nice creamy consistency, nothing too much, but I like a good amount of mayo. Then I'm gonna go ahead, bring this here. I'm gonna put this crab mixture on the rice. Make sure to get all that real crab. You don't wanna waste $1. Okay. Awesome. And I will go ahead and make my second layer here of the crab mixture. And you know that imitation crab also has that orange to it, so it gives it a really pretty color. I still love it. So I keep imitation crab in my freezer all the time. And then whenever I need to use it, I just run it under some warm water, or I'll go ahead and just leave it out on the counter until I'm ready to use it. Imitation crab is super good. It's also really tasty for lunchtime on a salad. So I'll do what I did earlier with a salad I made previously. I'll just do a lemon wedge, sesame oil on the greens, and then cut up some imitation crab, and voila, you have an amazing salad for lunch. Okay, and then next we're gonna do our fresh ingredients. So I'm just gonna put this to the side and go back here because we have avocados and cucumber. Cucumber is so refreshing and it's yummy, especially now that the weather's warming up. It'll taste really, really good. And then the avocado has that creaminess and heartiness, and then it kind of ties everything together. We're also in California making a California roll, so we might as well have avocado. So I'm gonna take this cucumber here, and depending on how big your cucumber is, this one's not too big, so we'll go ahead and use most of it. And we're just gonna dice it up. And you can scrape out the seeds, use a spoon, and just lightly scrape it out. If you love the seeds, you can keep it, but it is a little bit watery too, so, and it, you know, the texture of a seed is in there. But some people like it and you can keep it. If you also want to end up peeling the outside of the cucumber, you can do that as well. But when I chop it up really tiny, I don't necessarily do that. I think it tastes good. And then I'll do the other side here. So what's really, really cool about this dish is that my girlfriends make it all the time, but they do their own versions. I'll go to a party and there will literally be like a spicy tuna version of this, or a Philadelphia roll of this, if you love cream cheese, right? Who doesn't like cream cheese? And it's such a hit at the party. Everybody is like obsessed with it. So we've been making this for years. My family loves it. And you just want to like slice pretty thin pieces, like a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to use this half for now. And then just about that size, like bite-sized pieces. Because if the cucumber is too big, then you're like, right? You just want to get a small bite in there. It adds crunch as well as the freshness and coolness to the dish. Okay. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle this on top. And look how pretty that is with that orange from the crab. And then you have the pretty green from the cucumber. It's so amazing. I also like to make this dish for kids because not all kids eat raw things, right? But they do like California rolls. So I've brought this to like some kids parties and everything, and it's always a hit, and parents can eat it too. So I feel like it satisfies the masses, and you look like you slaved away on this, and look at how quickly we're assembling it. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and do avocado. Make sure it's pretty ripe. You don't want anything too hard. It's hard to cut up otherwise, and it doesn't taste that good. So once your avocado is ripe, we'll go ahead and just cut it down the middle, and you'll hit that pit there. And then we will open it up. That's a pretty avocado. My little trick here is to go ahead and take this pit out. So don't do this if you don't have a sharp knife, okay? Or if you're not skilled. A lot of people don't realize too that with a sharp knife, it goes so far. People think that this dull knife will like cut everything and it's fine, and then you just won't end up cutting yourself. In college, I used a dull knife for like a year. I had more nicks and cuts on my hands than I ever had my entire life. So get a nice sharp knife, learn how to use it, avoid cutting your fingers off, and you're good. Okay, and then I usually take a smaller knife here, and instead of slaving away and peeling this off and cutting it all pretty, you can just go ahead and make little crisscross, try to say that, cuts into your avocado, and then go the other way. And I love avocado, not just because I live in California, but because I think avocados are amazing. And, you know, in Japan or Hawaii a while ago, when sushi wasn't that popular, no one was putting avocado with raw fish, but now you see it on every menu. Avocado with fresh ahi poke. It's amazing, and it really goes well together. So we're gonna add it to our dish here. Careful not to cut yourself when you're doing this. Don't go through the skin, okay? If you need to use a dull knife for that, you can. And then I'm gonna take my spoon here and just spoon it out, and we'll have little pieces. So you just go like that. And there we go. How simple is that? Minimal effort. I love it. So when you're hosting a party and you have everybody over, the last thing you want to be doing is slaving away in the kitchen. You know, like you want to actually enjoy everybody and enjoy your party. And so I think it's really important. I'm going to do the second avocado now. I think it's really important to make something ahead of time. The great thing about this dish is you can also put it in the refrigerator and have it there for a little bit, and maybe like 40 minutes before you're gonna serve it, go ahead and pull it out, let it kind of thaw out, rest, and then you can just serve it. But wait to put the avocado on till the end because you don't want it to get all brown. So when I have friends over, I like things that are easy to make, do it ahead of time, and I clean up ahead of time because the last thing you want to do is hang out with your friends and be doing dishes and they're enjoying each other. They came there to hang out with you, so you might as well hang out with them and eat with them and drink with them. In my case, you're drinking water, but you know, you can still enjoy yourself. Okay, so I'll do this. And this other avocado as well. And this is how awesome it is. We're almost done making this entire dish. It's like that easy and that quick. Here's a little trick too. If you want to save the avocado, make sure it's not gonna brown for later and you just want to do this all now, stick the pit in there. It kind of helps to keep it fresh. But we don't need that because we're gonna eat it. Okay, then I'm just gonna top the avocado on top of this dish here. And then we're gonna sprinkle it on top with something called Foodie Kaki. I have to bring it up because a lot of people don't know what it is. I'll show you in just a sec what it looks like. It's basically a Japanese seasoning from Japan. People put it on rice, they put it on meats, they put it on anything. I love to put it on this dish because it's made of bonito flakes, sesame seeds, salt, sugar. It literally brings all the flavors together and it's super, super yummy. Let me just grab a towel to wipe my avocado hands. Although it's like a face mask, right? Like, you know what I mean. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take this Foodie Kaki. This is what you can buy in the stores, the Japanese stores, but there are so many different types. There's salmon ones, there's other flavored fish, shrimp. So make sure that you get this original Foodie Kaki because I love this flavor. But if you like to change it up, go right ahead. Sprinkle some on top, be generous. It also has seaweed in it, so it looks so pretty and it really makes it look like sushi with the seaweed. And then last but not least, I'm gonna go ahead and put in Masago, which is basically a fish roe. You're gonna take this, sprinkle it all over. It's gonna add amazing flavor. It's not too fishy, it's delicious. And look how pretty that looks. It looks gourmet, right? And we barely did anything today to make it. And it looks like a California sushi roll. That's why I love it. Okay, that's it. And then we're gonna go ahead and bring it over to our table over here, along with our gorgeous slaw. Here's the slaw. We've already prepared some cut up seaweed, which I call nori, so that you can wrap little individual bites, eat them as you chat and talk. It's super awesome.